What's going on, everyone? So this Lakers roster is ridiculously stacked. They have talent everywhere. They have size everywhere. They have shooting. They have defense. They are going to be a very good basketball team. And they have multiple guys that can play multiple positions. They're going to have a lot of switchability, a lot of interchangeable lineups. Darvin Ham is going to have his work cut out for him and just trying to find everybody minutes. But it is good, right? Because you're going to be able to keep kind of everyone's minutes low and not have to overexert and overwork too many players. And you're going to be able to kind of weather any like injuries that just happen throughout the course of a season, right? Guys get hurt. A guy misses a week or whatever, right? It's not like, oh no, we're in panic mode. Like even LeBron and AD are probably going to miss 50, 60 games collectively. You have enough talent, enough depth, enough size, enough just basketball players. They're going to be able to weather that, right? Now, hopefully they're not missing together. But even if they do, I still think that this roster is good enough to win a couple games, even without them. Like if both of them miss 3 games or whatever, I think the Lakers could win 2 or all 3 of those games, depending on who they're playing. But nonetheless, the Lakers have a nice balance of just like pure youth, where they have like a bunch of like 23-year-olds, and then they have a bunch of like mid-tier youth, right? Bunch of 26, 27-year-olds, right? Like outside of LeBron, nobody's really old, right? Everyone is like, Anthony Davis is like the second oldest player, him and Taurean Prince. And then outside of that, it's like everyone else is like 27 and younger. And so that's really good. But how much are the Lakers going to ride the youth? Now, I think especially come playoff time, the Lakers kind of lean more into like the Taurean Princes of the world, right? The guys that have the experience, like Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, those guys I think kind of get more focused on come playoff time, just because, again, Taurean Prince, he's had more experience. He's comfortable in those moments more than, say, somebody like a Cam Reddish who hasn't really been there, right? That, I think, is a real possibility. But over the course of the regular season, do the Lakers kind of lean heavily into the youth movement, right? Like, how much are these young guys going to play? Now, Austin Reeves, I don't think will have a problem. Austin Reeves, I think, will probably be the third, if not second option on most nights, right? Especially when like LeBron and AD miss, like not saying together, but like LeBron's out. Okay, AD and Reeves are kind of 1A, 1B, and vice versa. Like LeBron, we've seen LeBron really kind of lean heavily into Reeves. And I actually think Reeves will be heavily leaned on by Darvin Ham because they have that relationship, that familiarity. He doesn't have the mileage on him. He's just so good with not only the starters, but also the bench unit, kind of that, that bridge player and a guy that can kind of fill in the gaps for this roster. Like, I think Austin Reeves I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Reeves actually plays the most minutes out of anybody, right? He was doing that last year. So to think that that won't happen again this year, I think is kind of silly to think. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be playing like 40 minutes a game like he was on some nights. But I could see him, like everyone playing around like 25 to 30 minutes and Reeves the only one playing like 32 to 35 minutes or something like that. That I could absolutely see, especially if the Lakers want him to play point guard more, then you're probably running him with the bench unit more and running different looks and different sets. So I don't think Reeves will have that problem. But then you go into the other guys, right? Like Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt. Rui plays the 4. Rui, I actually have concerns about more than anybody, right? Because I think, one, Jared Vanderbilt, if he really does have a better 3-point shot, then he makes more sense with the starters, right? If your starters are D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, and AD, then Jared Vanderbilt at the 3 makes the most sense, right? Because you have Anthony Davis as like your defensive anchor in the paint. You have Jared Vanderbilt as your point of attack, best defender, one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league, and can guard the best player night in and night out. Then you have Austin Reeves, who is a good, he's not great, although he's looked really good for Team USA. So maybe he will be a great defender this year. But let's say he was just as good as he was last year. He was a good, not great defender. D'Lo, he tries, at least for the Lakers, he's been trying, but he's not a great defensive player by any means. And LeBron, he, especially during the regular season, he kind of plays defense in moments, right? Kind of coast at times. Like, how many times have we seen LeBron, like, not even try to, like, run out or pretend to care, and we'll just let the guy shoot or whatever, right? So Vando makes a lot of sense because Rui is great. He's the better offensive player, but he's not the defensive player that Vando is. And he has a hard time guarding the twitchier type forwards, right? He's really good against, like, bigger, bulkier, like, even centers. We saw how good he did against, Jokic and Karl Anthony Towns and even, like, Rudy at times. Like, he is just really strong, sturdy, good lower center of gravity. He can hold his own, but he's also better at the 4 spot. Well, LeBron is probably starting at the 4, and then the Lakers want to play Anthony Davis at the 4 more. So if that's the case, like, if Davis, between LeBron and AD, if they're playing like 40 minutes collectively at the 4, that only leaves 8 minutes for 4 spot, right? And you got to imagine Rui's going to be getting at least, hopefully, at least 15 to 20 minutes a game. So how much do they really lean heavily on him? And then Vando, do they kind of just have him be the starter, play that first like 5 minutes or so, and then have him be the closer, right? And then that's kind of like he plays 10 minutes a game, and it's just like the first 5 and the last 5. That I could definitely see being the case. But they're kind of like, especially Rui is kind of the one that I have the most concern with, right? Because Anthony Davis doesn't want to play the 5. The Lakers have openly said repeatedly that they're going to have AD play the 4 more, so much so that they're even willing to start Jackson Hayes and see how that looks. So I have genuine concern about how much Rui Hachimura is actually going to play for the Lakers this year. I don't think that they paid him, $17 million a year to not play 20 plus minutes, but this is a deep roster. They got to find minutes for a lot of players. And I don't know, Rui may kind of not necessarily be the odd man out, but he might be kind of like the afterthought rather than like, the 5th or 6th man could end up being like the 7th or 8th man, right? That's a big concern. But also speaking on just Jackson Hayes, the Lakers want to start Jackson Hayes, right? Like there have been heavy talks about them really considering that. Now, Jackson Hayes, I think him and Anthony Davis could play well together. He's actually a really good pick and roll big man, like defending the pick and roll and also playing it. So I do think that it would make some sense. I'm just curious to see how many minutes he gets because they're not going to not play AD at the 4 ever. He just doesn't want to play primarily at the 5. Sorry. He doesn't want to primarily play at the 5. So does AD get, say, 15 minutes at the 4 and 15 minutes at the 5, right? And there's his 30 minutes. I could see that being the case. And then maybe Jackson Hayes plays, 20 minutes or so at the 5. And then, maybe they run a couple small balls depending on any given night, right? And try different looks with other guys. That could be a possibility, especially who the backup is, or if the Lakers end up landing Christian Wood, right? Then now, that would give me concerns about Rui, because Christian Wood is more of a 4 than a 5, but they could end up playing Christian Wood at the 5 for, say, 10 minutes a game or something like that. Like play him 10 minutes at the 4, 10 minutes at the 5. But I do think Jackson Hayes will get some run. Just primarily because the Lakers aren't like super deep at the 5, right? And even if they do get Christian Wood, they're still not like super deep at the 5. It's kind of just AD, Wood, and Hayes. But if AD is going to play the 4 more, then I think that there's going to be more opportunity at the 5. So I think either way, Hayes kind of is the go-to guy. But I am really concerned that my main concern is the forward spots, right? My main concern is that 3 and the 4, because that's where we kind of have our log jam. But, time will tell. We'll see how that works out. And then Cam Reddish. I actually think Cam Reddish is going to be the odd man out. It's just me personally. I think he ends up being... Because, look, the Lakers... Like, there's even reports that have came out that the Lakers kind of have, like, this battle of, like, Cam Reddish and Max Christie. One of those two are going to be the odd man out. And the Lakers are leaning towards Max Christie right now. And especially after his performance in Summer League, if he can kind of replicate that in training camp, then I think the Lakers have him as the nod, right? I think he'll be the backup too. I think, you'll have D'Lo, Reeves, Vando, LeBron, and AD. Then I think the backups will be, assuming nothing changed, right? If they get Christian Wood or whatever, then things might change. But I do think that it would be something like you'd have Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince, and Jackson Hayes. That's what I think our 10-man rotation will be. And then Cam Reddish will be the odd man out. That doesn't mean that he's not going to play ever, or he's not going to get minutes on some nights. Again, LeBron's out, AD's out. That opens spots at the forward. And Cam Reddish, he could get some shine. I'm super high on Cam Reddish. I like Cam Reddish a lot, and I hope he actually gets an opportunity. All right? I think he's a guy that can absolutely ball and is a legit two-way, sizable wing that can play multiple positions. He also has like a 7'1" wingspan. But Max Christie, if he has that stroke where he shot 42% last year from three, granted it was a small sample size, but if he shoots, say, 38% on double or triple the attempts that he got last year, right, then I don't see Cam Reddish playing over Max Christie. Maybe they kind of split the two, right? Like, because Max Christie is in his second year. Maybe he just gives, especially if Reeves is playing the point at times, I could see maybe, say there's 25 minutes open at the two guard, right? Like Cam Reddish getting 12 minutes, Christie getting 12 minutes or 12 and a half minutes, or maybe like one night Christie gets 15 minutes and Reddish gets 10, and then the next night Reddish gets 15 minutes and Christie gets 10. I could see maybe something like that working out, but I really do think Cam Reddish kind of is the one that falls off the wagon, so to speak. And then, again, Max Christie, he's very likely the shooting guard of the future for the Lakers, right? And that's kind of why the Lakers want Austin Reeves to play the point more. Because the idea is Austin Reeves is the point guard, Max Christie is the two guard, Vando the three, Rui the four, AD the five. So that's kind of what the post-LeBron projected lineup is. Now, obviously, if the Lakers get another star or something along those lines, then that could change, post-LeBron. But if your plan is to get Max Christie the shine and the opportunity and kind of start molding him and shaping him into the starting shooting guard, then you want him to get the minutes over the course of an 82-game season. And if he's good enough to maintain and stay on the floor when he's in those minutes, then you got to continue to lean into him, right? And I think out of all of the youth guys, like, again, all the guys that are essentially, 23 and younger, I think Jackson Hayes probably gets the most run, right? And then I could see Max Christie kind of being second in that. And Cam Reddish kind of being the odd man out. Vando, he kind of, floats around and kind of gets his, like I said, 10 to 15. I think the Lakers will kind of use him as like their specialist. Again, first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, kind of figure out how to get Rui minutes. Although Rui's not really like in the 23 and younger area, but I do think that there are questions of how many minutes he plays. So I think it just depends on like what are the Lakers trying to do over the course of this season. And like that's not even counting the rookie guys, which I don't think that they play much. But there also is an argument of like, why don't you just like every game throw 10 minutes of the young guys out, right? Like throw 10 minutes of, say, like Shafino, Christie, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes out there, right? Or maybe even like Maxwell Lewis out there. Like just let them run. Like tell them go out there, play your game, be fast paced, go. Just put the pedal to the metal, right? Like I wouldn't hate that either, right? If it's like, hey, the way we're going to get our young guys opportunity and minutes is like every game we're going to play like 7 to 10 minutes where we just have a young run and gun unit out there. Why not? Right? Like, especially early on in the season, I think you could do that. As like once you get to like post trade deadline and you get to that like second half of the season, kind of becomes a little tougher because now you're trying to lock down, lock in, and kind of fight for your seeding and get your playoff rotation figured out and whatnot. But I think like, the first like 40 games, like, why not? Why not just throw out the young guys? Maybe you don't do it against like Denver or Milwaukee or something like that. But like 90% of the teams you're going to play, I think you could throw out the young and gun guys and just let them kind of have some moment and some opportunity and give the older guys, again, not really older, but give the older guys a little bit of a rest. I don't know. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think? How much do you think the young guys play? Do you think they play much at all? Do you have concerns about where Rui plays and them finding minutes? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.